to start with song number 30. For those of you that have your book, this one. Song number 30. Otherwise it's this one in the chat, number 30. Ireneo it's called.
And then number 8 in volume 1, or it's there in the chat, Let It Find You.
presence deep inside your heart. Let it find you, let it hold you, let it liberate all that you are. Let it find you, let it hold you, let it liberate all that you are. There is a power, there is a presence deep inside your heart. Let it find you, let it hold you, let it liberate all that you are. Let it find you, let it hold you, let it liberate all that you are. There is a space in the stillness, in the silence tonight. Let it find you, let it hold you, let it lift you into the light. Let it find you, let it hold you, let it lift you into the light. There is a space in the stillness, in the silence tonight. Let it find you, let it hold you, let it lift you into the light. Let it find you, let it hold you, let it lift you into the light. There is a light all around, shining within and from afar. Let it find you, let it hold you, let it show you who you are. Let it find you, let it hold you, let it show you who you are. There is a light all around, shining within and from afar. Let it find you, let it hold you, let it show you who you are. Let it find you, let it hold you, let it show you who you are.
So welcome everyone once again. Thanks for bearing with us as we find our feet on the online form again. I wanted to give you just a little bit of an update of what's been going on for us, because I know many of you have been following along and there's been all sorts of shifts and changes. But we left Guatemala at the end of June and spent a couple of magical weeks in the States with some of you, and had a wonderful time in Michigan for the first time with some dear friends out there, and absolutely adored the community that we got to meet and spend time with on a magical piece of land, actually, where our kids got to run around all day and enjoy the big ponds and lots of outdoor activities. So it was really a fun time. And then we visited our friends, Sam and Timo there in Santa Barbara, and brought the works once again to the Santa Barbara community, which is so beautiful that we decided we'll come back on our way back from Australia in October and spend another weekend of ceremony there with those guys as well. And those ceremonies aren't actually on our calendar, as it's going to be quite intimate in Sam and Timo's lounge room. So if anyone's interested to join us, Caroline, you just said you're going to come. That's wonderful. So we're excited for that too. So we landed back in this property in Australia, and I know a lot of you had been told that, yep, that's it, we're packing up and selling everything in Australia. And it's been a roller coaster of a lot of back and forth each day of deciding, are we staying, are we going, what are we doing? And at the moment we're in the staying camp, So it looks like we're going to give this a little bit more of a go out here and keep nourishing the communities that we've slowly been building here, even though things are slower and we're a lot busier with doing all the domestic mum and dad things and running kids to school and so on. But one of the big reasons for that is we see such a really beautiful shift in the kids. They really are thriving just being in a normal school environment, and it's wonderful to see Rafa making lots of friends and getting to be in his own school age group, and Elijah thriving in school. They're getting awards every other week for good behaviour and for trying really hard. So it's just really quite adorable. So we're in this position of feeling like at the moment, because of the pathway to the US, as we've talked to some of you about previously, about potentially spending more time there in the US, is not necessarily such an easy, clear path. The visa situation and all of that is quite complicated. And although Australia's on the other side of the world, which is a challenge, there's so much here for the family, and we have laid enough groundwork where it's starting to feel a bit more comfortable and so on. So the big news right now is that we're clearing an old shed on the property. There's an excavator out there right now that's levelling out a pad where we might be able to put down a new one for a temple space here, hopefully for next year. So it's the shed temple. We might call it the Shemple. And see what happens. So yeah, we've got we had a beautiful weekend of ceremony also in Byron Bay, and it's a really beautiful spot there. But as many of you know, we really prefer to do things on our own property, and would love to just have the space set here so we can all be more comfortable and stay with the kids and not necessarily need to travel. So we're looking forward to that. We'll also be in Perth next month and bringing ceremonies back to the Perth community, which is growing out there as well. So we'll see you, Misha, over there soon. And yeah, lots of beautiful things. So it's a lot busier life out here in Australia than it is in Guatemala, with domestic duties, with soccer mum duties. But overall, it feels like we're starting to sort of settle in and feel the possibility of being able to sort of bridge the worlds, what we've created over there in the Americas and in Guatemala, and come back to spending a bit more time here with our roots in Australia. So yeah, that's a little update anyway from us. So thanks for listening.
Yeah, so on these calls perhaps we'll just sing a couple songs, do a little bit of an update. Those of you who, if there's some people on the call who haven't been with us, we like to keep it pretty familial, get an insight into our life, because other than that we're pretty private. But when it comes to our ceremony work, everyone's a part of it. We're all family. It's a beautiful thing. But being here in Australia, being here in the Western world, what Haley's sharing, it's different for us because we've spent both of us more than 15 years each outside of the Western world, and so when we come back, it's a different type of integration where we have to catch up with society and look at tax and accounting and going to the petrol station, going to the supermarket, and all of these sorts of things, which we haven't really had to do in such a long time. Mm-hmm. On one side, it's an incredible privilege. We're incredibly fortunate people to be able to live the life that we have lived and to do the things that we do. And when I come back to Australia, I'm reminded of that incredible fortune. The people here are very, very fortunate, very, very privileged. But when I come to the Western world, or like these places like this, I see how difficult it is, how stressed and overwhelmed it is in not just the Western world, but in all of the worlds around the world. Whichever way we look at it, it's a lot to keep up with the train tracks of society. And so we've been tending to our family, seeing our family, our mothers and our fathers who are luckily still alive, and just seeing seeing how the mind can be in the Western world. You know, for me, I left I left society when I was quite young. You know? Late teens, early 20s, I started moving that direction, and then I kind of left, and I didn't really come back. And so all these years later, coming back, my mind hasn't been subject to it in the same way that I see a lot of minds are subject to it. And my sister was saying yesterday, you know, she was like, you know, because her rent's gone up and struggling with this, and taking her daughter to all of her sporting events, and trying to pay for this and pay for that, and think about this and think about that, and how tough life is, and just saying how, you know, how surprised she is that her little brother, you know, didn't have to do anything, you know, he's got everything. I said, well, I actually gave everything away, and now I have everything. I didn't want anything. I didn't want anything to do with society. And so I turned my back on it, and somehow I found a great freedom, a great fortune, a great luck, perhaps. You know, perhaps luck is a lot of what it contributes to. But I was thinking, this is something that's like prevalent for me, and so when I talk, it's nice to talk on prevalent subjects and topics, because I know that all of us are touched by these worlds, these societies, trying to keep up, trying to pay the bills, trying to get from here to there, and then trying to juggle this other sense of spirit, this other sense of a path that we're tending to, that we're fostering, that we're walking towards. You know, whether it's drinking medicine or meditating, you know, what we're reading, you know, what we're discovering, where we're going. Yeah. I was with my father 2 weeks ago. He's turning 83 this year, and he has cancer, a tumor in his kidney. He needs a stick to walk. He's got, like, he can't move his shoulder, he can't move his hips, he can't bend over. Like, it's a really tough space. A lot of pain in his body. And it's just nice to sit with people who are very close to their last breaths. And one night we were outside, and he was looking up at the stars, and he was just saying how vast it is, how many billions of stars are out there. And I could see his mind go right out there. He's wondering and looking for life. You know, is there life forms out there? Maybe there's insect life forms. You know, maybe there's intelligence. Maybe there's this and maybe there's that. And it's a nice, you know, way that we direct our minds sometimes, and a lot of us do it like that. But the way that I saw it, it's like it's always outward directed. And my father, he was a famous rock and roll musician, traveled the world. He's been to like 120 different countries. He's done everything. Like his resume, his life story, his biography is wild. Like he played. He was a rock and roll musician in the Vietnam War, you know, for Australia and for America. Like he went to these places. He played music here. He traveled all around South Africa. He speaks like 10 different languages. He's just a super worldly man, and in his stories and what he's done, it's kind of impressive. And so I've been estranged from him for most of my life. But spending time with him, it's just interesting to get to know such a big character. But what really tended to me was the differences and the different paths that we have taken. In that, you know, some of us, you know, we go chasing things, we go looking for things, we go looking for our peace and go looking for our happiness all around the world, you know, in all different countries, in all different items, and consuming this thing and that thing, and learning this thing and learning that thing, and seeing in that place, and finding these people, and doing this and doing that, and collecting accolades and achievements. And in some ways, many of us, we have this thing that pulls us out on those places, and it's insatiable. You know, it's an appetite. That's never really satiated. It's a thirst that's never quenched. Yeah, and I considered that I have the great fortune because I got tired young somehow, luckily at a young age, of looking out into the world, and I didn't see any quenching to that thirst. And so I turned around. I abandoned the world. I turned and I faced within, and I looked within. I did that for a very, very, very long time. I gave everything. I gave it all up. I abandoned it. And you know, we can Because when we look out into the world, it's very, very, very beautiful. Some people, I've been seeing a lot of clients here in Australia every week with the psychedelic assisted therapy, and it's a juggle. Sometimes we're caught in this thing of looking at the horrors of the world, the stress of the world, the difficulty, the madness, or the chaos of the world, but then also hearing the sound of the birds in the morning, and hearing the beauty, and seeing the flowers, and seeing the children, and seeing the way that it turns in space, the way that the stars shine, like my father looking up at those stars. And there's so much beauty here. And so there's this always this push and pull, this duality that we're caught in, and the tides of the waves coming in and out, the pendulum swinging. But when we look out, we can. It seems like when we look out, we see limitations. We see our own limitations, how far we can go. But those limitations, they're unlimited. And so when we look out and we try to find association to that hunger that we have, it's endless. We don't really find what we're looking for. It's we can climb the highest mountains. We can explore deep into space. We can explore deep into the ocean. We can scroll the algorithm on the phone. We'll never get to the bottom. You never get to the bottom of the algorithm. And so our ability to ask this question, where do we find the quenching of that thirst? Where do we find our satiation? It really begins when we've become fed up with the world and we begin to turn within. It's like the people I've been spending time with, like my mother, my father, I can see underneath many things there's a growing death anxiety, and it happens for all of us, and you don't need to look far to kind of find it. It's somewhere in our body, and it says the clock is ticking, you're getting older, you're going to have to do something, you're going to die soon, this doesn't last. And most of us, we pretend that that's not there, and we run away from it because it doesn't feel comfortable, and nobody had taught us how to sit with it or how to look at it or what to do with it. And so we keep looking out into the world rather than in at where that place is pointing to it, where it's all going. And when we turn in to look at that place where it's pointing to and where it's all going, this is where all of the world's religions start. But a lot of us take little pieces of it because we don't want the real thing. That's where the mystics pointed. It's where the medicines take us. If you don't want to look at that place, we keep looking out into the world. We keep going shopping. We keep buying things to fill up that empty hole. But when we touch that place where death is drawing nearer and nearer in on us, we can become destabilized by it. We can become uncertain. It's like if you go inside yourself and you say, like, oh yeah, death anxiety. I see it when I see my mother. I see it when I see my father, and I see it in them. That the years, they don't know how many they're there. And it's the same for all of us. And so when we go to that place, it kind of touches a live wire. There's a real sensitive, delicate, open kind of wound there. And when we touch it, we come to this place, this part of ourselves where we say, I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure if I've lived fully, if I've done everything that I needed to do. I'm not really certain if I've loved all I can love. I'm not really certain if I've been all who I can be. I'm not really certain if I can be certain about anything at all. But if death is certain, then why should we waste our time worrying about uncertainties? We can be certain about that one thing. So we should be able to put it to rest. We should be able to find peace with it. We can't find peace with it because we never really look at it. We never really rest in it. We always look out. And whenever we look out, we go far away from what is within. But just as we can look so far into the stars, and just as we can look into so far into the sea, in the same sense, we can look within and we can find what is endless and unfathomable. More endless than looking out into space, into the universe and wondering about life. And more unfathomable than looking at the bottom of the universe. You close your eyes and you look inside, and this is an endless, unfathomable place. And until we learn how to look within, we are lost, grasping at things on the outside, and everything that we grasp at the outside, it slips through our hands. It's like sand. Yeah. But if we look within, we find the ground, and we can find stability. If we look within, everything becomes external, and everything that external is not that within. And so when we discover this place, or until we discover this place, it's like we keep jumping from one thing to the next, looking for peace. It's like we keep opening doors and they just lead to more doors. We keep buying more things and it just leads to needing more things. Yeah. We keep eating more foods and it just gives us an appetite to eat more. But when we look inwards, if we look really, really deep inwards, as far as we can go, until everything is external, we come to a place that is inherently satisfied. But in order to get to that satisfaction, we have to actually be a little dissatisfied with everything. I always want to preach appreciation for the world and for beauty, but we never really look within. The only times that we really look within is when we've been dissatisfied, when we've hit rock bottom, when we've found the ground. Yeah. And so in order to become a little bit, it's like on one hand you can appreciate beauty, on the other hand you can be dissatisfied. In Buddhism they call it disgust. And I always found that interesting. They say you should cultivate disgust for the world. And I'm like, wow, that's an interesting way to talk about positive psychology. But it is a kind of a positive psychology to find disgust with the world, because until we find something that turns us away, revulsion, Caroline says, revulsion or disgust. And it's not to say that it's bad and awful and that we shame it and things like this, but it's to say we recoil a little bit from it. This recoiling is a really necessary thing, because in order to turn within, we need to be able to surrender or detach a little bit from everything that we hold external. This is why we go on retreat. This is why people take monastic vows. This is why we go and drink medicine. This is why we go and do dieta. This is why people go on walkabout, why people go on vision quest, why people go on the Temescal, why sitting around the fire brings us something. It's because it detaches us from the world. And so it begins with this thing, seeing that the world doesn't really bring us our satisfaction. It brings us more craving, it brings us more attachment, it brings us more insatiable desire. And so today I just wanted to make a note on what I'm seeing in those people around me, the things that I'd love to say to them, but sometimes we can only say so much. Yeah. And for me, it's the very, very simple thing that I believe I'm so fortunate because I turned within and I found that was where I found the ground. And so now when I turn back outward, there's a different way that I'm looking at it. It is more free, perhaps. Because there's a big secret in the spiritual life, is that with awakening or with spirituality, with paths of liberation, it's your true nature is never outside of you. Everything that you're looking for, it's never outside of you. Every time we look outside, we fumble. But when we turn around, we let all of the restlessness rest. We let all of the agitations retire. But we have to get comfortable with looking within. In the Gospel of Thomas, it's a book, a very old gospel, we'll talk more about that, but it has a collection of sayings of Jesus. And something he said, which I really like, he says, you must fast from the world. You fast from the world, is what Jesus said. And so regularly we think of fasting as taking things away, seclusion, retreat, abstinence, refraining from sugar, refraining from fats, taking this diet or that diet, dieting this plant or that plant, to fast, to become clean, to cleanse. And he says you should fast from the world, to cleanse yourself of the world, to not just, put down your phone or have a social media cleanse or a fast or a digital detox or something like this, but to put it all down and abandon it and go within for a period. And all of the masters, all of the spiritual teachings are based on people who have done just that, have abandoned some part of the world to turn within. It's where the answers come from. It's where the silence is heard. It's where the mystery is revealed. It's where all of our questions disappear. It's where we find a space, an empty space that we can befriend. And in that space we befriend ourselves and we befriend the world, and we stop being hostile to ourselves and the world. And we stop going against things. We find a place where everything is flowing within, and it allows everything, it receives everything. And so the full quote, he said, if you do not fast from the world, you will not see the kingdom of heaven. I find that really fascinating. If you don't fast from the world, you won't see the kingdom. And then in one of the other Gospels, he tells us where the kingdom is. He says, if you find it, you won't be able to say it's over here or over there, because it's always within. If you find it, you won't be able to say it's anywhere else, because it's within. And so he says, if you don't fast from the world, you won't find the kingdom. And then he says, the kingdom is within. And so the recipe to fast from the world, it's just to spend time in our inner dwelling. This is what is meant also the phrase. I remember as a young person, this phrase haunted me. I never really understood what to make of it. I never knew what to do with it, how to pick it up, how to put it down, how to solve it or resolve it. And it's this line that says something like, how to be in the world, but not of the world. Because here we started by looking out at the world and how it's an endless path of limitation that leads us to restlessness. But if we want stability, if we want to find peace, all the masters, they say turn around, abandon the world for a time and then come back to the world. And this is what all of those paths are marked by. Somebody turned away, they found something, then they came back into the world and they reintegrated. And so when we turn around from the world and we find something, we find freedom, we find detachment from all of those things that used to weigh us down, that used to bind us. Now we come back into the world, and there's something in us that is not disturbed by the disturbances of the world. There's something in us that is free to feel, free to have compassion and empathy for the suffering and the woes of the world and the misery of the world, but free to have compassion, not free to be burdened by it, not free because sometimes we're just zoomed so far in on one thing that we become highly detailed on it, but we're so zoomed out that we allow all of the pieces to land. It's like when we're so zoomed in, when a piece is slightly off, the puzzle's all over the place and we can't see how it goes in. But if we zoom out, there's no puzzle pieces missing. Everything is there in clear sight, and it lands where it falls, and it falls where it lands, and that's okay. And so how to be in the world but not of the world is it's to be in the world and see just what the world is. It's to be in the world having seen your own true reality. It's being in the world having seen your own true nature. And so to be in the world but not of the world, it is to be in the world, to enjoy the world, to be here, to talk, to share, to laugh, to play music, to work, to pay the bills, to put the kids down to bed at night. To be in the world but to be free of the world is how I like to frame it. It's not to be in the world but not of the world. It's to be in the world but free of the world. And in order to do that, we have to find out what has always been free inside of us. And so when we look inside, everything becomes outside. And I want to just spend a moment here because it's something that is really impactful for me. When we turn within, everything becomes external. The world, people, places, stories, ideologies, political stuff, all the stuff, it's outside. But when we go really within to that innate awareness, the presence inside of us, not only does the world become external, but our inner operations and our inner mechanisms also become external. And this is really important. So the body becomes external, the organs become external, the sense faculties become external to that awareness. The thoughts and the mind become external to that awareness. So when we go inwards, even what was inside, what was within us, like thoughts and senses and feelings, the within is now externalized from that inner place. You know? So the within is now external. And you go to that place that can't be externalized. That's what I mean about going within. I think that's what he meant by fasting from the world, or saying that the kingdom is within. It's before all of those places, but sometimes we get stuck at that place where the thoughts and the feelings and the sensations and all of the stories arise into the personality and the identity of me, and we miss the space where it is before it. But if we find that place that is within the within, then from that, there's a funny thing that happens if you follow along. Everything becomes internal to that. So everything is external to it, but now from it we realize how big that space is. This endless, spacious, empty, luminous, vast, aware presence inside of us that has no name, that has no form, that has no end, that has no beginning, no birth, no death. And then all of a sudden, all of the thoughts, all of the feelings, the sensations, the body, the places, the people, the countries, the world, the stars, the sun, the moon, all of this is contained within that awareness. So first everything is external, and now everything is again internal to that awareness. But none of that makes sense until you find that innate awareness. And what happens when you find that innate awareness where everything is externalized, and now the external is internalized? I don't want to lose you. Yeah. What it really means, to simplify it, is that inner and outer fall away. So first, if we recognize that looking outward, we fall short. We turn in to find something impenetrable. And then when we do that, everything is outside. And then we realize that that outside is in this. And then inner and outer fall away. And when those walls fall away, that is the type of freedom that it takes to be in the world and free of the world. Yeah. I don't want to make too many riddles. I'm trying to make it as simple as I can because it could be simple. A favorite story of mine from the Hindu tradition, and it is of Brahma. And Brahma is God, basically, one of the aspects of God. Brahma is the creative principle, the timelessness where time and space and everything emerge from, and everything is spilling forth from. But it's impersonal and it's impartial. No? It's just this emergent quality. It's like an ocean just spreading waves and ripples. But in this story, and in a lot of those stories, all of these aspects, they have a face and they have a name. And Brahma, one day, it's kind of like the Garden of Eden story, no? One day Brahma saw that human beings had grown really arrogant of what they could create and how they were on earth, and that they were at the top of the food chain and things like this. And he saw their arrogance and he wanted to teach them a little lesson in humility. And so long ago we were a kind of a divine being, but we became very arrogant. And so he said, I'm going to take away their divinity and let them find it on their own so that they can learn a lesson. And so his comrades, his counterparts, the other aspects of God, they were in on it, and they said, okay, let's hide it down in the deepest parts of the ocean, because they'll never find it there. And Brahma said, no, the human beings, they're very, they're very tricky. They'll explore the bottom of the ocean someday and they'll find it. He said, okay, let's dig it deep into the earth. Let's dig it so far deep into the earth and put it in the earth and say, no, they'll dig up the earth and they'll find it there. And then the other one said, okay, let's find it, the tallest mountain where they won't be able to go, and we'll put it up there. And they said, no, they'll eventually conquer all the mountains on the planet. And so seeing the determination of humans, Brahma contemplated until he said, okay, I know where we'll hide it. I know where they'll never find it. I will put it inside of their own being. They'll never think to look there. Yeah. And so he was pleased with this, and then he let us go. And the story says, to this day, we have continued on digging, diving, climbing, searching, seeking, all over the world, everywhere, looking for that which has always been inside of us. Isn't it true? Isn't it true that somehow it's the last place that we look? And I don't just mean us, I mean, I'm saying these things because I've been with my parents, I've been out at the school, I've been out at the post office, I've been everywhere. You know, beautiful people everywhere. But as a society, as a globalized culture, our face faces outwards. And we forget to turn around to see the face that is inside. Because what I'm seeing is just the result of outward looking all of the time. You know, it's the news, it's social media, it's the complaints in the back of our head, it's the voice that is anxious and scared and not good enough, that worries about this or that. It's the voice that wants to compare and keep up and compete. It's the voice that doesn't know what to do. And until that voice becomes cracked wide open, that it has no place left to look, no place left to look but inside, do we find that which we've been looking for, that which satisfies this craving and quenches the thirst. Because when we realize that the external world has an internal source, it's like discovering a holy fountain, a pure mountain spring. It's living waters that quench. They say you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Time and time again, from all different languages and traditions and ways and places and spaces and people in our lives, there are things leading us to look at our own being, but we miss it and we don't see that it's a rare treasure. I was with a client the other day and just talking a little bit about presence. And by the end of the session, she came back and she had said, I think this presence, I think it's a bit more than me, isn't it? I said, yeah. And sometimes we talk about presence and we think it's something that we do. Okay, I'm going to be present, I'm going to be present, I'm going to take my deep breaths and I'm going to get really present. But the real presence is when all those things disappear and there's one thing left. And you say, what is that one thing and how am I capable of it? And then those questions and those thoughts, they go on top of it. And so anything that can be said about it, isn't it? And so when we go into that inner place of presence, the real presence, its perfume, its voice, its language, its song, is all silence. And when you really touch on silence and the beauty of silence, you go back before the Big Bang. And you say, what is that? Is that not a holy fountain? Is that not something religious? Is that not something mystical? Is that not something that I could say is sacred, whole, and profound? And to find that, we never looked out. All we did was close our eyes and find our own presence, our own being, and the silence of our own being. Yeah. And we find the silence of our own being, it's a ground that can't be shaken. Because I want to speak like this today, because many of us are on a spiritual path, we're drinking medicine, we're studying, we're meditating, we're doing things. But if we don't find this ground, then there's always me who's doing things, trying to get somewhere and look for something. But when that falls away, because we've really had to look within, we find something, I believe we will be at peace with ourselves. And if you're at peace with yourself, you're at peace with the world, you'll be at peace with others. And now more than ever, for sure, we need that. We need that reminder. We need the reassurance of peace, the keeping of faith, because every time I look on my phone, it's chaos, it's madness. When I go out into the world, I see people's internal mind on the outside. You don't have to look hard at somebody's face to see what thoughts they have in their mind, their own neuroses. And here in the Western world, with its pressure, or here in Australia, I should say, with its pressure, with its it's like a steaming melting pot. It's like a boiling melting pot, and people, you can't stop. You can't stop. This is why looking within is a luxury. It's a privilege. It's a great fortune to be able to turn within. To have, I consider myself very lucky that I was so reckless that I carved out the only time to do that, and I got rid of everything else. Because here, to be in the midst, the bustling of life, to stop and look within, it's a great fortune. And so when I look out, I can see what it's like not to look within. The neurosis on people's face, the worry, the doubt, the anxiety, the insecurity. And certainly that is the result of systems that are not working for us. But it's also the way that we are with our own mind in all of those times, and the way that we are with the world. And if we're always with the world thinking that it's going to bring us peace, but we never find that peace within, we won't find that peace without. A seeker once asked the master, where will I find God? And the master said, where have you left him or her? So where will I find God? Where have you left it? And in some of those traditional places of mysticism, the leaving of the God, or leaving of God, the leaving of our divinity, was the turning towards the world. In some traditions, the faith or belief in the world was how the devil fooled you. In some, the moving towards the world was becoming stunned by a mirage. And so in different traditions, they say you're going to be fooled outwardly until you look inwardly and find what can't be fooled. Yeah. And so then when you turn back, you don't have to be bothered. You can find beauty, you can find peace, you can find compassion, you can find sustenance, and realize that the world has an internal spring. The world has a divine source. But until we find that divine source, the external world is distorted. And so when we take down those walls between the inner and the outer, and we come back to the world, but free of the world, we have an intimacy, a radiant intimacy. That's what presence is. I think presence is immediate intimacy with the infinite, here and now and nowhere else. And to do that, we have to have some sense of abandoning the voice in our mind, have some sense of abandoning the past and the future, even if it's just for a moment. I'm not saying abandon your life and go and run to the mountains. I'm saying be in the world, but be free of the world. We have to become okay with our own deathbed. We have to become okay with our own anxiety, our own distress. It doesn't have to go anywhere. We don't have to get rid of it. We don't have to evict it. We just have to say, okay, if that's there, I can also be present with that. Because if my presence is a divine spring, then the question is, where do I leave it? Like the seeker said, where do I find God? Where you left it. If this presence, if this within my within, when I fast from the world, when I turn around and find that the kingdom is within, if that is that, and that is always there, then where do I leave it? And why do I leave it? And what do I leave it for? Yeah. And so to stay there at that place is to stay at this turnstile, where we turn towards the things that distract us, that take us, and just keep coming back little by little. When we do that, we come a little bit more alive to life, because we've faced our death. When we do that, we come a little closer to the great mystery, because we're okay with letting go of what's known for the unknown. And then when we walk the mountains, we're not lost. I was thinking earlier this year, some people, they climb mountains in order to conquer mountains and to lift their heads up higher than others. But for me, every mountain that I've climbed only taught me to bow my head lower at the majesty of the mountain and the view that it gives me. And then when we see ourselves in a world full of, a room full of mirrors, we smile and see all of those smiles in all of the walls, in all of the corners. We don't have to be haunted by the world. We see that the world can come alive with us. We see that if we find freedom from the world, that we also free the world to be free. Because the world will just be the world. What is real is beyond the world. What is real is within. And so we can let the world turn. There's some part that we'll have to let the world turn. I saw a really great meme on the internet the other day, and it was a picture, zoomed out like Hubble's telescope picture, and it had this cluster of our galaxy, and it had a tiny, 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 tiny little point, an arrow into like, you know, a spot that you couldn't even see. And it said, my country is the best. And there was another one from a different angle. The whole cosmos, this vast expanse of the Milky Way and all these solar systems in there, and it had this tiny point onto this little dot, and the blurb mark, it said, my beliefs are true. And so to turn within is to zoom out. And you zoom out so far that there's something, somehow there is something that says whatever happens is okay. Let it all be. If I can embrace, then I have a heart that can embrace. If I can allow it all like a river, then the water will continue. And the world goes on whirling and turning, and the stars go on shining. But that truth that is so big, so much bigger than it all, it's like a rock. When I look to the stars, like my father, looking up at the stars, wondering what kind of life, what kind of intelligence, where it would be, how many billions, how structured it could be, what the plant life could be, you know, what the hypotheses are, you know. In science, we always look out, we study things under a microscope. You know, science is an objective act to look at objects, to look at the world of things. Now, spirituality is the science of looking within, I'd say. And so my father looking up at the stars and wondering about all of these life forms and hypotheses, you know, for me, to be in the world but to be free of the world, I look up at the stars and I don't look for life out there, because I've found life in here. And the life in here that is looking out there is more than I'll ever find out there. Because I don't know about life out there, I know about life in here. And so it always surprises me that in our world, we've paid more attention to looking outward. It's a beautiful thing, we found out so much. We're great scholars, and we study things, and we've educated ourselves so much and shared so much information and knowledge about the world that we can learn about the world. Perhaps, and that's the way that it goes, that now we finally have the time and the privilege to start to turn within. But all through the ages and all through the centuries, the first scientists were not the ones who looked out into the world, they were the ones who looked in. The first psychologists, ones who looked in. They were the mystics, they were shamans, they were yogis, they were monastics, monks, sages. Today I just wanted to give an invitation to look within, give an invitation to find your own presence and find your own being without using words. to give you an invitation to find solace, to find comfort from the world by having a retreat inside, to find peace, and to then turn around and find strength to be in the world, and strength to look at the world, and strength to love the world anyway.